From Spamtown, USA, Austin, Minnesota, this is the Austin Bruins Coaches Show. We break down the big hits, the spectacular saves, and the clutch goals with the men behind the bench. Get the inside scoop with exclusive insight, strategy, and stories from your Austin Bruins coaches. And now, here's your host, David Coyer, alongside Bruins assistant coach, Robby Murray.
The Austin Bruins are back in town this weekend against the Minot Minotauros after sweeping Minot on their home turf. Bruins are still in first place, a 3-point lead over the Bismarck Bobcats. Lots of stuff to break down. And this week on the Austin Bruins Coaches Show, we have Bruins assistant coach Robby Murray. Robby, welcome back. It's good to see you again.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
And I know this weather outside, it's starting to warm up. This is what you're liking. You were tired of the snowstorms, the false springs, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure you're pretty happy right now.
Extremely. Mainly tired of the fall springs. Started to get the hopes up a little bit. And, it's that time of year where it starts to get warmer a little bit. And then it would come back in the single digits. And don't enjoy that like I do like it is today, where it's high 60s. Might even get into the 70s.
There we go. And one other thing that's warming up is the Austin Bruins. They've won 5 straight, still on top of the Central Division. A big weekend in Minot, a 3-0 shutout on Friday, a 6-2 win on Saturday. What were your biggest takeaways from this weekend series in Minot? I mean, it's never easy to go in to the Mesa Arena and pick up 4 points, but the Bruins did it.
Yeah, and Mesa is a fun place to play in, and Minot's a good team, and I know for us that we've been talking a lot about, especially as we enter playoffs, of limiting their number of mistakes. Is when you get into playoffs, everything gets really tight, and even this time of year where not a lot of teams are making mistakes, and guys are good enough to capitalize on those, and we thought this weekend we're defensively in the D zone, we thought we didn't make a lot of mistakes in the D zone. We didn't have to spend as much time in there as was kind of what we liked. We were able to establish our structure defensively. Similar on the forecheck, where we were able to get on the forecheck. We're a team that's built on that and be disruptive. But Minot's good on the rush. They were able to create some chances against us and some shots against us on the rush. So that'll be a focus. I think as we come into the weekend, especially with the forwards, to making sure that we're not getting caught with 3 guys low and giving up a 4-on-2 rush like we did a couple times against them last weekend. But just that's our big focus and has been since the past couple weeks. And as we go into roll into playoffs, is can we get under 5 mistakes, and then can we get under 3 mistakes to where we're playing a really tight game and we're not giving up much.
And a big reason the Bruins victorious in both games this week. And Jack Solomon, and I mean, we've talked about Jack Solomon countless times here on the Austin Bruins Coaches Show, but 60 saves on 62 shot attempts. He had his 8th career shutout, which is a new Bruins record, on Friday. Solo's top 2 in the North American Hockey League in goals against average and save percentage. As a coaching staff, how excited do you guys get when you see a goaltender like Solomon rolling this close to playoffs and heading into the playoff season?
I say for both of them, for Solo and Cody, they've both been really good at this point of the year, and there's the cliche of you got to be playing your best hockey come playoff time. And, you hope that for your goaltenders as well, as, it's going to happen where we're going to have a game where maybe we have a slow start or we have a lull for some minutes or give up and end up on 2 5-minute majors and for, our kill and for Solo to come up really big in those moments and keep the game. I think it was 0-0 after, both of them or maybe one of them, to keep us with a good chance to win the game. And, when we have Jack and Cody and net, and I don't think our guys care either way who's in there. We got 2 number 1s. They've both been really good, and it just gives the guys the confidence to play their game where they're not having, especially your defense, when they're not having to second guess themselves, not trusting a guy in net. They do that. They do trust their guys in net so they can focus on playing their game, which helps our forwards and it allows our forwards to play our game, and we don't have to have that weight on our back. We can play free in a sense where we get to play our game and not worry about, okay, we got to worry about the guy in that. We got 2 really good guys in that.
And, I always like having you on the program just to talk a little bit more about the power play, because you run the power play for the Austin Bruins. 3 for 7 this weekend against Minot, 7 for 23 over the Bruins' 5-game winning streak. What have you been working on with this power play that has helped get this consistency and help build them to being the top power play in the league?
Yeah, I mean, we have our things that we work on. I know that we want to be a power play that is fast paced and attacks. It's something we're trying to get 5 or 6 attacks per 2 minutes, where shots on goal, and but the first unit's been really, really good all year, and I love to see what their percentage is. 2 minutes, that's a lot of math that I don't know about have time to do, but they've been really elite, and now we are at the point though where the second unit's been really good, where they had 2 of our 3 goals this past weekend, and they've been clicking. So now if the first unit's having an off night, or maybe they do get a lot of chances, like I believe our our first goal on Saturday, they had a good power play. They were able to attack a lot and were fast paced, but then didn't score. And second unit gets out there with 50 seconds left, and they're able to score right away. And so right now I think both units are going, both units are scoring, and that's the goal. It's just to keep it going through playoffs, where when we step in and teams are talking about keys of the game, don't take a penalty, and when they do, we need to make sure we capitalize on them.
2 big guys who have been added to that second unit on the power play, Ryan Lund, Carter McKay, each of them coming back from injury in that series against the Mallards a few weeks ago, and they really hit the ground running. McKay, 6 points over his first 4 games. Ryan Lund has 2 assists. Having 2 veteran guys coming back to this lineup that's already pretty veteran heavy, but also making a splash. I mean, what does it mean to you guys, and what does it mean to this team to have 2 guys like that make an impact right away in their return?
Oh, it's really good to see, especially with how close to playoffs that they had come back, where sometimes it's going to take you to find your game again once you come back from injury, and the fact that it doesn't look like it's taken them much time. I mean, Carter's been great. He's been great on the kill. Obviously he's been good on the power play. He's been great in the face-off dot and kind of all 3 zones. He's picked up our structure pretty quick, and he's been an impact player for us. And him and Sam Klein and Kyle Sorensen been awesome together. There's been a couple games where they've been our best line. I like to think of that game we had at home I think it was last Saturday, where they have 2 goals in the first period and really get us going. Lundy's been great. I mean, last year he was great. Ended up being a first-round pick in the USHL, and had a little slow start to the year, and he's come back in mid-season form, even though he's been out of lineup for a little bit. And he has some physicality to him. He can rip the puck, and he's making good decisions, and he's been engaged. And so when he's doing those things, he's fun to have back there, and he's fun to have on the power play when he's doing those things.
Looking ahead to this playoff push, last year, not many veterans on the Austin Bruins team. I mean, or I should even be a little bit more specific, not many veterans of the North American Hockey League. Brought in a couple of veterans like Luke Mulcahy and E.J. Paddington. But for guys for a team that didn't have too many veterans, we saw what last year's team did, the reverse sweep of Minot taking Game 1 against Bismarck. Now this year, you have a lot of returners, a lot of guys who were on that team last year. You bring in a guy like Carter McKay, who has playoff experience down in Shreveport. I guess what I want to ask is, from last year seeing what they did to now having a team full of guys who has that playoff experience, what do you expect this team to do with knowing what is ahead in this playoff push?
Yeah, it's last year with or in a sense lack of playoff experience. I think we showed that we could stand up in the face of adversity in the sense in that first round against Minot, and then we ended up seeing Bismarck in the second round. They were a team that was very old with a lot of playoff experience, with a lot of depth, and kind of got in the way for us a little bit in that second round last year. Where this year, where we made the move to add some more playoff experience to our lineup, as well as having a good amount of our team played in the playoffs for us last year or elsewhere is important. Like, you get those guys, they've been there before, they know what the pressure's like, they know what the moment's like, and especially where we don't think we have anybody who's won it yet, where they're hungry, where they know what the moment's like. We have a lot of 2005 birth years where it's their last crack at it, and I think our guys are hungry because of that. They know what the moment's like, and this is their last chance to win one, and we see it in practice, and see it in the games most of the time, and we just hope that rolls over and in the playoffs.
Last year, your first year with the Austin Bruins as an assistant coach, your first year coaching at this level. So that was your first playoffs last year as well. Were there any lessons you learned from last year's playoff and playoff push that you're using to try and help better yourself this year?
Yeah, I think, we have so many good coaches in our division that that especially, last year we're, play a team like Minot, for example, and first couple rounds, the regular season, they rolled their lines to get them out and got in the playoffs, and they're really only playing 6 in terms of running the forward. So just having to keep an eye out there where everybody's trying to get their best players out there as much as they can to try to put the game away. And just momentum. Like, momentum's a big thing, and when guys are going, especially when, maybe we went through a lull where a guy has line has a good shift coming out of there, it's, can we get them back out there to see if they can do it again, and trying to stack those good shifts on the good shifts to flip that momentum, which, a lot of the time either results in goals or results on being on the power play, or things of that nature. But really excited for playoffs. Still want to be focused on what we have going now. We still got 6 games left, and we're in a tight race for first. But still looking forward to it in the back of the mind, not the front of the mind.
Yeah, a very close playoff race right now. Bruins with that 3-point lead in the Central Division. They host the Minot Minotauros this weekend, 7:05 puck drop on both Friday and Saturday at Riverside Arena. You can get your tickets at tickets.austinbruins.com, or flex tickets are still available at our ticket vendors, Games People Play, Hy-Vee, and Jim's Marketplace, all here in Austin. Those flex tickets only good for the regular season, so if you still have flex tickets, make sure you use them in one of these final 5 home games at Riverside Arena. It's a Friday Family 4-pack day on Friday. That's 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, 4 popcorns, all for just $60. You can get those at tickets.austinbruins.com. Coming up on April 3rd against Bismarck, it's Billet Appreciation Night, and that Saturday, April 4th, it is Team Poster Giveaway Night presented by Hy-Vee. You can get a picture of the team and, of course, Robby Murray. He might even sign it for you if you ask nicely, and you could potentially get that at the post-game skate on April 4th. That's presented by KTTC. One final question for you, Rob. As we mentioned, Minot coming up this weekend, and then a big series against Bismarck coming up after that really could be a deciding factor for this Central Division race. What are you looking for from your team coming into these big 4 games coming up?
Yeah, I know. I hinted at it at the start of the coaches show, but really looking for our guys to eliminate the amount of mistakes, and to get them under 5, then under 3, to where we're not giving up many chances against, and then for us to take advantage of other teams' mistakes. Minot's a good team. They got a good coaching staff. That coaching staff's been the Robertson Cup. They have a couple returners from last year that were played on a good Minot team. So it's something where it's not an easy game. We got to make sure that we're taking care of business and establishing our game. And then Bismarck coming in as a team on our heels, where we can't drop a point to them. Where even though we're in first, they're in striking distance, and looking for a lot of the same thing. Can we eliminate our mistakes, and can we take advantage of theirs, and can our special teams be really good? So there'll be a couple big weekends coming up, and just hoping focused on taking care of business on Friday.
Couple of big weekends coming up indeed. 5 of the Bruins' last 6 games here at Riverside Arena, and we want this place rocking. So make sure you get your tickets now at tickets.austinbruins.com so we can make this one of the best barns to play in the North American Hockey League and make it very difficult for the teams coming in. But for another edition of the Austin Bruins Coaches Show, I'm David Coyer. Thank you, Robby Murray, for joining me this week. We got another Coaches Show coming up in a couple weeks with head coach Steve Howard. But until then, have a great week, everybody. We hope to see you at Riverside Arena, and we'll see you next time.